Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. 2019's been a pretty good year for me, and now I wanted to showcase the top 25 books I purchased in 2019. I know that's a long list. I usually make my top 10 books or top 15 books that I purchased from previous years each year, but this time I wanted to put a few more on the list, so that's why I beefed it up to my top 25. So let's get started with number 25. Now, for those of you that watched my channel in the past, I usually suck at going down the list of saying the numbers 25, 24. I usually lose track, but this time I'm going to try to make an attempt to keep up with the numbering. So we will start with number 25. Spawn 174. I love this cover. I love the book. It is the first full appearance of the Gunslinger Spawn. I'm not going to talk too much about each book. I'm going to try to get this video moving because it is 25 books and we would be here all day, and I know most of us do not want to be here all day. Most of you won't be here for longer than 2 minutes. So let's go to number 24. The Mighty Thor 225. I picked up a very nice copy of the first appearance of the Firelord. Beautiful colors in the background. And for those of you that know who the Firelord is, he was one of Galactus's many heralds over the years. Number 23. This was a purchase I got earlier in the year. Strange Adventures number 187. The first appearance of DC's Enchantress. I've always loved this cover. It's just so weird and so good at the same time. Number 22. This was a book that I had a couple of years ago. I had a higher grade. This is probably a 6.5. Shazam number 28. The second appearance of Black Adam. Next up is number 21. Journey into Mystery 103, the first appearance of Marvel's Enchantress. This is a book, and also the first appearance of the Executioner. This is a book that I had in my collection a couple of times over the years. This is my 4th copy, and this is the one that's going to be for my personal collection, or at least maybe for a while, depending if I find a better copy. For a good price. This is probably a 4.0 after a press. Eventually I'll have it pressed. And now for number 20. Here we go. Running out of room on this thing here. This will be the last one for this. Amazing Spider-Man number 10. The first appearance of the Enforcers. It's glad I was finally able to get that. Anytime I'm able to get, an early Ditko Spidey is a good day. So let me just get these off here and we'll move on to number 19. I'm continuing on with number 19. Here we go. Tales from the Crypt number 24. This is an absolute classic Feldstein cover. Another book that's not necessarily easy to find or easy to pay for, depending on what grade it's in. My copy's low-grade copy, a 3.0, and I'm pretty happy with that. I was just very happy and lucky to be able to get this book. I'll keep it up there. Why not? I've been doing that so far, the whole video. At number 18, we have Green Lantern number 87, the first appearance of John Stewart. Not the comedian, the other Green Lantern. Pretty good book, I got an 8.0 copy. I was lucky to get this. This was another one that I got earlier in the year. I forget what comic book hall it was in, but, it was definitely one of the first ones of 2019. Really happy to have gotten this book. It's I think, a great book to have in anyone's collection, and definitely one I would recommend. That was 18. Here we have number 17, I believe. At number 17, we have Avengers number 8, the first appearance of Kang the Conqueror. I realize there's a lot of speculation on this book, and will Kang be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I mean, probably, you never know. But speculation aside, if he doesn't show up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's still a pretty good book to own. I don't really think you could go wrong with Avengers number 8. I remember for the longest time, this book was pretty cheap, pretty affordable. Coming up at number 16, we have Tales from the Crypt number 22. Sorry for the glare over here. It can't be helped. Number 22. This is actually my second copy of this book. I had another copy of 5.0 restored. It had a little bit of glue added to the cover, and I sold it and I got this one. Really happy to get this book. Now, this is the first time we actually see the Tales from the Crypt logo drawn this way. Those of us that are familiar with the HBO show, this is what we're used to. And this is the first time in number 22 that we see this. And I also believe that it's the first time we see all 3 Goo Lunatics on the cover. I could be wrong. It might be a Haunt of Fear book where they have all 3. Like I said, forgive me if I'm wrong, but it's still another Feldstein cover. Feldstein covers are starting to become more in demand, I've noticed. So it's just really, really cool to have. And we have right here at number 15 a purchase from the New York Comic Con this year. Here we go. Marvel Special Edition number 15, The Hands of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. I got a really nice copy, and I think I got it for a pretty good price. I was very lucky to have gotten this. One would expect that this book, the price was really hiked up at the New York Con because, there's a lot of the movie's coming out. I forget when the movie's coming out, whether it's 2020, 2021, I don't know. But regardless, pretty cool book to have. I did not know too much of Shang-Chi before. I knew who he was and all that stuff, but since the movie has been announced, there's a lot more hype around him. I started to get a little more interested in him, and that is why I went out and got this book. Pretty cool. Let's just get these out of here for the moment and move on to the next set. These out of the way. That's done. And at number 14, we resume with Green Lantern number 76. This is the first time Neil Adams worked on the series. Classic cover, classic story, classic issue. Now I believe we're on number 13. Another EC. This was definitely the end of last year and pretty much the first half of this year was a lot of EC purchases. And here we have, this was actually on my top 10 list for 2019 of books to get in Vault of Horror number 35. This is another book that I've had multiple copies of throughout the years, and for this reason or that reason, I wound up getting rid of them to finally get to this copy. Now, I think this copy is a 5.0. It's been pressed. It has to go out to CGC. When will it go out to CGC? Soon enough. But definitely a nice edition, classic cover. And, it's around the holidays, so what better cover on EC to show? Here we are at number 12. The Amazing Spider-Man number 5. This is when Dr. Doom challenged Spider-Man. So it was pretty cool to see Spider-Man up against Marvel's top villain at the time, and still today too. We're at number 11 now. We're getting closer to the top 10, I think. Fantastic Four number 46, the first appearance of Black Bolt. Really, really nice copy. I got myself probably, what grade is this? I forget what the grade is, but it's I didn't put it down. But it's a really nice copy, and I was very lucky to have picked it up for the price I got it. So let's just take these off here very carefully. And let's move into the top 10. Unless I skipped a number, which is, hey, most likely something that, could happen to me. All right, let me see if I can straighten this up a little bit. This was an upgrade at number 10. The Amazing Spider-Man number 50. I had a copy for many, many years. I upgraded it to a 4.0, and I wouldn't be surprised if I upgrade this one down the line. But for right now, this is a pretty cool copy. At number 9 is another book that I got earlier in the year. The Vault of Horror number 12. It's one of the more scarce issues in the EC horror library. I don't know how scarce. I don't think it's like super rare or anything like that, but it is kind of scarce. And I was very happy to have gotten this book. So let's just take these off here. We left off at number 9, I think. Let's go on to number 8 with Detective Comics number 230. This is an upgrade. My previous copy was, really beat up. It had water damage, rusty staples, all of that, but I got it for a good price. Flash forward a few years later, which brings us to this year, I was able to upgrade it. I was able to sell that other copy for surprisingly a good chunk of money, despite all the defects I just mentioned. I guess, people really want this book. Pretty much paid for this one. But here we have a nice 4.0 copy, or at least in my opinion, a 4.0 copy of the first Silver Age appearance of the Mad Hatter. I believe this was number 8. Let's get on to number 7 with another upgrade. Crime Patrol 16. This is the second appearance of the Crypt Keeper. My previous copy, I sold. I thought it was a 1.5. The guy who bought it from me had it graded and then sent me a picture of it graded, and it came back a CBCS 1.8. So I was correct. It's a 1.5. And I was able to use the money that I got from that purchase to fully fund this, I think, 3.0, 3.5 copy. Very happy with it. Again, not an easy book to find. Are we at number 7? Let me see. Let me see if I could do a count here. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. No. We're at number 6. We're at number 6 now. At number 6, Tales from the Crypt. Number 23. This is, I think this is my favorite issue, of the Tales from the Crypt run. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a couple others that are almost tied with this one. The reason why I say this is probably my favorite issue is because I like every story in the book. It's, most of the stories that I read in the EC horror books, whether it's Haunt of Fear, Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt, I enjoy for the most part. But there are some stories that are memorable for me that I look forward to reading again. In this particular one, and there are a couple others scattered around, Tales from the Crypt, Haunt of Fear, Vault of Horror, scattered around, that I enjoy every story. And this is one of them right here. It's got a really cool Feldstein zombie cover. All right. That was 6. I think I'm going to make it with the numbering. We're at number 5. If you watched my channel, I love mummy covers. And here we have a mummy cover. War Against Crime, number 11. A nice grade. I think it's probably a 5 or a 5.5. This is the second appearance of the Vault Keeper. Again, it's not necessarily a book that's easy to find. Sure, they pop up every now and then on eBay. But, I never see this book at cons. I never see this book at some of the online sites like Metropolis or Superworld or Worldwide and many others. It's just a hard book to find, a lot of people holding on to it. A lot of people are not really interested in it because it's not a superhero book. But to me, it's a really cool book to have, and I love the cover very much so. What was that, number 5? I hope. Let's get these out of here. Yeah, that was number 5. At number 4, now I alluded to this earlier. We have Tales from the Crypt number 20. What I mean by alluded was when I showed Tales from the Crypt number 22, and I talked about the logo, the first time the Tales from the Crypt logo was drawn that way. Well, previously, the Tales from the Crypt logo for numbers 21 and number 20 here looked like this. Much different than what the Tales from the Crypt logo we know of today looks like. This is credited as being the first issue of Tales from the Crypt, but I still think Crypt of Terror 17 is technically the first issue, but this is the first time that the series was changed to the title Tales from the Crypt. Another good book. I like the cover. I like the colors on the cover. There are 2 stories in this particular issue that I really like, one of which, my favorite of the 2, is the cover story, Impending Doom. And the second story is the first story in this book, The Thing from Cabin 13 or whatever it was. The Thing from the Sea, excuse me. That was my second favorite. The other 2 are okay. They're not bad. At number 3. Now, I mentioned this Batman number 16, the first appearance of Alfred. Now, I mentioned in the video which I showed this book that I didn't buy this book this year. I bought this book several years ago. But I didn't get a chance to show it until this year for whatever reason. I held off on it, or I forgot about it, or whatever. So I still, despite that, I still feel that it belongs in a top purchase list of 2019 anyway. So here we are. A nice, I think, 3.0 copy of the first appearance of Alfred. We talked about, or at least I talked about, how War Against Crime number 11, it's not easy to find, and so forth. This book's not that easy to find either. A lot of those early Batmans are not easy to find, and they're very pricey, and it's good that, when you find it, you get it for the good price. You just sometimes have to go for it, and that's what I did with this one. Number 2, the second best purchase I think I made in 2019 goes to Journey into Mystery 84. Now, I mentioned in the last haul, number 36, that I like this book because it's the second appearance of Thor. I tend to think that all second appearances, especially in the Marvel universe, the Silver Age, are very underrated. And, of course they're not going to be worth anywhere near the first appearance. But I think that's why it's good to get them, They're not as valuable, but they're still very cool to have. It's a second appearance of Thor. But like I said in that video as well, I think it's heated up a lot because it's also the first appearance of Jane Foster. And the number 1 purchase of 2019 is what? What do you think? I would say it has to go to the most controversial cover in comic book history. It may not be the best cover in comic book history. It may not be the goriest cover in comic book history. It may not be the most detailed cover in comic book history, but it is the most infamous in comic book history. Crime Suspense Stories, number 22. Classic Decapitation cover. This, along with several other books, became the reason for the Comics Code and the reason why EC had to shut down. Case closed. I think that this is by far a classic cover. I would imagine it's not the most politically correct cover, but then again, there are a lot of covers from back then, and maybe even some modern times that are not the most politically correct. But I would definitely say this is not a contender for the most politically correct or most suitable for children cover. But that makes it more infamous. It has a history of it, and it has a special place in my heart. And I think it has a special place in the heart of many collectors, even though that some of these collectors may not necessarily be EC fans or collectors themselves. Well, that's my top 25 books. I think I got through the numbering okay without screwing up. If I did, I'm sorry. Oh well. Maybe next year I'll get it right. But those are my top 25 purchases for 2019. Thank you all for watching this video. Those of you that stuck around for the 17 minutes, going on 18 minutes right now. It was fun to do, fun to go through the collection, and fun to pick out what I think were the top books for this year. Let's see if next year is going to be even better. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.